Alright, hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Bare Bones Fishing. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Mike and welcome to the YouTube channel. So anyways, today I am out in Sarnia catching some walleye. So we're going to do a catch, clean, and cook today. And so let's start off with the catch footage. Shoot. There we go. Oh, I forgot to put on the old head camera. Boat. That's a good one. Oh, he hit the big jig. See, take a look, the big jig there. Okay, that's great to see. I'm going to throw down a mark. Look at that guy. Fish. Oh, there we go. Get a good set on that one. That is pretty much spot on from where I was when I caught that last fish. Let's see. Ooh, that's a good one. A little bit big for a boat foot, to be honest. And another one, hitting the big jig. Look at that. So that means that they're getting hungry. Not just nice fish. And so at this point the wind started to pick up on this trip and unfortunately really ruined the audio for the next little bit. And so I just have some footage here of the last fish that I caught. And then after catching this one, I decided to call it a day, and we're going to move on to cleaning the fish, and that segment will be coming up very shortly. Okay, so when I'm cleaning fish, the first thing I like to do is I'll make a diagonal cut under the pectoral fins, and I do it on an angle. I don't like to go straight down. This allows the knife to kind of slip underneath the scales and not cut through the scales necessarily if you were cutting straight down on it. It saves your knife a little bit. And so after I cut through or cut behind the pectoral fin, I'll use the tip of my knife to cut down the spine, and I try to stick as close to that dorsal fin as possible. And then when I get past the first dorsal fin, that's when I'll stick the knife all the way through and then cut all the way to the tail. And at this point now I'm just using the tip of my knife to cut through the pin bones first. And so it takes a little bit of pressure to do so. And then once I get through the pin bones, I just follow the rib cage all the way down, and then I'll cut the fillet right there at the belly. And so that right there, what I just popped, that's the fish's air bladder. I typically pop that beforehand, and that will allow the fish to sink when I throw the carcass in the water. So now I do the same thing on the opposite side. So down the spine, all the way through to the tail. Now I'm following the rib cage, and there you go, fillet number 2. I also saved the wings here of the walleye. Those are the ventral fins, if I'm not mistaken. So I didn't really do a good job showing that off on camera, but anyways, I saved that part. I'll show it maybe in a different video, another catch and cook at some point in time. And then I also saved the cheeks, which are my favorite part actually. And I usually will only keep them on larger walleye, but anyhow, I kept them there. So you can see I did the little knife test. I can show you that there's not much meat left on there, and then I throw the carcass in the water. And so now what I am going to do here is I'm going to remove the skin, and then I leave a small section of the skin there because I'm transporting these walleye. So I leave a small section there, and then a small section on the second fillet. And so there you have it. I've got my 2 fillets. Now if you take a look at the fillets themselves, you can see that they're a little bit red. It's because I didn't really bleed out these walleye too long before filleting them. Now on to the cooking part. Okay, so for the dressing, I like about a half cup, big tablespoon of mustard, cracked pepper, throw in some salt, a little bit of lime juice, roughly half of the lime, just to kind of break it up a little bit. We'll put in about a tablespoon maple syrup, just to sweeten it up a bit too. So I'm going to take the cabbage, cut off this side here. That is a good start. I think that'll be enough for what we need for our tacos. So now I'm just going to slice it real thin. If you have a mandolin would be best for this. So you can see very, 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 very fine pieces. Show it in that camera too. Nice fine pieces of cabbage, which means that they'll break down a little bit quicker. Okay, so we're going to grate in a carrot as well for a little bit of extra crunch, a little bit of extra color. So that's good enough for what I'm trying to do here. So now I'm going to go put this in the fridge and let it start to sit, and I'll stir it every couple of minutes, every 30 minutes or so. So I forgot to click record on my regular camera, which has the good audio on it. So anyway, here we are, another overdub. So what I'm doing here is I'm mixing my seasoning, or my coating, if you will. So I have all-purpose flour in that bowl, and then I'm mixing in the same amount of seasoning. So I do pretty much a 50-50 mix of flour and seasoning. At this point, I mean, you season it with whatever you want, but I really like this Cajun seasoning I picked up at Costco. And so now here is a fillet from that trip we had the other day. So I've taken off the skin, and now I'm going to remove the pin bones and bloodline. So this is called the zippering technique. I'm sure most of you have probably heard of this. And so what I've done is I've notched on either side of the bloodline at the tail. And so now what I'm doing is I'm actually removing the belly section of meat. And so now that piece is perfectly boneless. And now what I'm doing is I'm actually gripping onto the bloodline itself, and I'm removing the bloodline and pin bones with this next little pass here. And that last piece of meat, that would be the back strap, or the top portion, the back portion of the meat. And what I'm holding in my hand there, that is the bloodline as well as the pin bones. And so now those pieces of fillet are perfectly boneless. And so at this point I cut them into sections, maybe about 2 or 3 inches long. Just, bite-sized morsels. Okay, so next stop is in the bowl with the seasoning. Another good way of doing this is throwing it in a Ziploc bag, or a paper bag actually works as well. But anyway, I put it in a bowl and just kind of mashed it all around. Try to let it sit in the seasoning for a few minutes so it really gets in there. Next stop is the pan. Only takes a couple minutes per side. Cook it till it's nice golden brown. So there you have it. I really enjoy doing the fish this way. You're not getting too much batter. Just a little bit of crunch. A really flavorful fish to add to a taco. Okay, so let's put our taco together, shall we? Okay, so we got a fresh flour tortilla here. We're going to throw on some of our coleslaw. Just a little dollop. Or a big dollop. I really like coleslaw, so there you go. I mean, really, at this point, you just kind of add whatever you like to it. You could add, tomatoes, cilantro, fresh onions, whatever, really, whatever your heart desires. But I like to keep it pretty bare bones, haha, as it were. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple pieces of fish here. I'll take some of the bigger ones, throw it on there, give it a squeeze of lime. And then last but not least, a little dollop of my favorite hot sauce. Actually, a big dollop. I really like this stuff. There we are. Favorite hot sauce, this Valentina stuff. Really, really good. It's like a mixture between Frank's Red Hot and Cholula, which are two of my other favorite hot sauces. All right, let's go in for that bite, shall we? All right, so here we have it, the finished product. Let's go in for a bite. A lot of really good flavors and texture contrasts. You got soft, chewy, crunchy, savory, salty, a little bit of heat. Great combo. Fantastic way to prep your fish. Anyway, there you have it. First catch, clean, cook on the Bare Bones YouTube fishing channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. And if you want to see a few more of these, or hey, if you have any recipes on how you like to prepare your walleye and perch, please put them in the comments below. I'm always interested in finding some new recipes on how to use this stuff. Anyhow, hope everyone's doing well, and I will catch you on the next one.